These investments will drive growth, support the delivery of new skills and early years establishments, and ensure our exciting city growth plans are delivered and create new
relation to roads. Whilst we have still had to make a number of difficult decisions, our focus remains on securing the services which matter most to our communities whilst protecting jobs. I'm not entirely sure what happened to my voice there. I promise it wasn't me. I'm blaming the microphone. Whilst I absolutely recognise today that the increase in council tax may be viewed as challenging for some of our residents, but without this additional income, it would result in a drastic reduction in services right across the board. Quite rightly, East Renfrewshire is one of the most desirable places in Scotland to live, and this is because of the standard of education, the highest quality of health and social care provided, and fantastic local amenities and parks. And we are absolutely committed to continuing to deliver in all of these areas, and by raising council tax it will allow us to make necessary investments in services. I'm delighted that we have outlined more than £1 million of investments for the coming year, which will make a real difference to our residents' lives immediately. The continuation of the Reading Recovery Scheme, for example, will ensure that we continue to develop all of our young people from the earliest stage to ensure that their learning journey is positive from the outset, especially those who are in the lowest 20% of attainment, a group of children and young people we have consistently invested in and will continue to do so. In addition, over the coming years, we will continue to modernise services to make them more cost-effective. By driving up efficiencies at every opportunity and harnessing the power of new digital technology, we will continue to improve across all of our services. Technology shapes our world and will shape the future of all of our young people, which is why I am particularly pleased that this budget builds on our previous investments in technologies for schools. Last year's budget provided more tablets, laptops and cutting-edge technology such as virtual reality headsets, and in this budget we once again commit to providing our schools with further technology such as tablets to ensure that young people living in poverty have access to technology and no child is disadvantaged. This links to our policy of Bring Your Own Device, a national priority for education, where children and young people in secondary and the senior phase of primary learn at appropriate points in the curriculum using their own device, usually a tablet or laptop, or indeed school-provided devices. Our additional investment continues to ensure that all our children and young people will have access to a device to enhance their learning. Furthermore, our policy ensures that only registered devices are used on our secure network, and we teach all of our young people about responsible use and staying safe online, which does not always happen out with school. I commend this action to continue to equip our young people for their future. Our ambitious programme of capital investment, worth more than £183 million over the next 8 years, is also extremely exciting, and will see a range of bold infrastructure projects getting underway. These will drive growth and create employment opportunities, and I believe that we can demonstrate real value for money to our residents and a return on their investment in their council and community. We are investing wisely for the future in the services which matter most to our residents. Today we have announced a budget to ensure greater stability in future years, a budget to protect services and jobs, a budget for everyone in East Renfrewshire, and I commend this budget to the Council.
Thank you very much, Councillor O'Kane. Apologies with the problem in sound. We've been having a few technical issues which we thought were resolved. Well, it's going to go wrong in case there's a Conservative amendment if you understand. Only teasing you, Stuart. Is there any amendments to that? Councillor Miller?
Thanks very much, Paul. I started off by saying, gosh, after listening to these two, I want to speak straight through a word of paper. But don't worry, I've been writing. Similar to previous years, can I begin by thanking the members of the CMT and all staff for all their help in preparing the budget amendment, and particularly Margaret because and their team. And I'm sure she'll be delighted that she's away for a couple of days holiday after a very busy few months. Can I also acknowledge the fact that Budget Strategy Group had a hard job to make these decisions, but also necessary as a national government and holiday to leadership in pushing Westminster government, and we have decided that no local government has to suffer a flat tax settlement, but with stronger tax, which in essence is a cut and locked down. And also improved finance minister from the place up running the lights, but it still comes down to this council and others suffering from SNP austerity. So there are a couple of points I'd like to raise from last year. And the first is the fact that I did point out last year that there was 5 members of the CMT with comparable council such as Underport and Renfrewshire. And I did ask them to take a look at this. But perhaps I've been too hasty, and I really think that the speed with which our council is changing without the modern leadership programme, perhaps we need the extra experience, or quite experience of these guys, just because of that in my own age. More experience now as we were told a couple of years ago I proposed cutting the chances in schools by a couple of degrees. And I'm delighted to see that this administration is taking that advice. Yeah. But I have to say that I'm very surprised as the Vice Convener for Education and Colleges absolutely slaughtered me at the time. I was very sick of it. And he did last year, he referred to it again and said that we better do something. But the first try to this budget, we really find that this Vice Convener, or young Vice Convener, maybe can do it. And that's the council and maybe the labour group. Isn't it amazing how fast some people can get promoted by taking forward some good consultative ideas? I was also encouraged to see that we've decided to reduce the level of community levels, something I proposed just 2 years ago. I'm also delighted to see this administration has decided to set advertising space on council vehicles and buildings. As we've asked the council to do this for years. And if we'd done it when it was first suggested 5 years ago, we could have gotten over 1 million, which would once again have motivated against solid welfare prosperity. As you can see, not only do we really advertising commercialisation of vehicles and buildings, but we also think it was much more ambitious. And we think we can much more can be achieved in the next few years. We also agree that school needs should reflect the first price and acknowledge that the administration has increased the price, but we think the price paid should close to reflect the first price. Therefore, I think the price of these needs should rise to 20 pounds this year and 20 next year, which would mean that still need a small something in school needs. The figures also reflect that there may be some dissatisfaction, and we acknowledge the fact that the difficulty for some parents who have taken children at school, but it's still outfit very similar in schools. The next item is interest from Coastal Ireland, mentioned about all the posters and whether we parked the men back railings. And we discovered the ability to do it business movement outfit furniture and railings, etc. for commercial gain. I'm making an experience with railings at 7 January and used extensively, so proposing that we pass a bylaw stating that we can tax people for using street furniture, which we reckon could be on the road some. But also allows some to play with what can and cannot be done of street furniture. I'm not proposing to go through everything line by line when we look at problems there. But most of the things that are on the amendment as part of the budget consultation, members can read the definition themselves and can and leave out more for clarification, which is fair enough, but there's nothing on this that will surprise the administration, as they've already pointed this out for consultation. It's just that we have decided not to take some things at this time. If austerity continues to bite in the coming years, then once again, we will forced to undertaking their advice. But I will highlight a couple of points. As a union member myself, my members pay a subscription to patrons and officers. We don't ask the taxpayer to fund the union officials. Therefore, I really don't see why the taxpayer should fund pensions and union officers. Given the fact that the union officials are union members. I honestly find it hard to justify that expenditure and so it's definitely controlling the 3% council tax rate for the next few years. You will also notice that we're proposing to save more than most technical funding, and I know both the legal and deputy leader of the council have mentioned this. We totally agree with that, but we don't need to purchase state-of-the-art equipment. We could purchase cheaper equivalent equipment. And to clarify a final point, I suggest that the money and rates of barriers is fantastic that so by such an investment. We do get considered regular, and in the help that we get some insurance to meet the effect of the base period, and trade surpluses. And much of the administration for all the underinvestment in previous years, and I have to reflect that more investment with more relations to what's needed. Most of the budget is $4.5 million. Because there are no funding to try and bring a living in the top half of the national league table. We'll see following an agenda up in February. This afternoon, that this leads to the sustainable place for businesses to grow. After all, we're in the place of not needed in public bodies and ways. There's no need and ignorant over the island. And probably provide good department. It justifies all. We get $7 million for this budget in years 2 and 3. This department said last year it would have been the resources for the department to the job. Catching levels now, around the 400. And as you can see, the board funding bulk and increasing borrowing. We notice that provision has been made to borrow $50 million in the sports centre, somewhere in the eastern side of the centre. The committee proposed that we go for the option 3 by the leisure centre listed, the cheaper option. Something because most of the customers who use the current facility in investment from the bank, and that has that network and top market already there. If we do that, the estimated cost of ordinary, that would be of $19 million. And what's on these papers? A leading surplus on each of the 3 years, a total surplus of just over $500,000. As a wee word of warning, be very careful. They've been fixed all this amount. As has been proved earlier, we may have to pay for it. And we are looking incredibly stupid if we criticise this year and have to end the power next year, because I will remind you. Once again, can I record my thanks to all those who have helped to prepare the amendment, especially Madam Fisherman and the team who have triple checked the numbers. Please recommend this amendment to the Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Miller. I'm conscious there might be another amendment and I will come to you, but can I just check if there's a seconder for that amendment? Councillor Swift, do you wish to speak to that amendment?
Well, it would be, well, I shall endeavour. Overall, this year the Council's budget has increased by 1.7% versus last year, and the administration has decided, and rightly in my opinion and our opinion, to prioritise education and social care. However, this is probably unsustainable, and I mean that because with a budget increase of 1.7% and increases in both departments of more than 5%, when they represent over 86% of the Council's spending, we can't continue to do this without everything else shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. So anyway, yeah, given that we have disproportionately squeezed everything else, I'm not sure, as I say, how sustainable that is. Anyway, in education there's a move to empower head teachers, which is welcome. In social care there's a move to self-directed support, which is also welcome because it empowers clients and their carers. Overall, both departments need to reflect the above in reducing bureaucracy, as power gets pushed down to the periphery and empowers the key players in each, then so that the administrative support that is required should be less. Our budget amendment reflects that, and reflects that movement, or should reflect that movement. And whilst we are supporting a greater reduction in funds given to head teachers, we'd be more inclined to support a greater reduction in that centralised administration. It is for the administration to work out how those resources are shifted about, and I think you could do better. Like the leader of the council said, our roads are important, which is why I second my colleagues' bold plan, I think we call it a bold plan, to improve our crumbling third world road system. And that's probably as much as I would like to say.
Thank you very much, Councillor Swift. And Councillor Aiken, did you have an amendment?
Yeah. I would say a few words, please, about the East Renfrewshire Schools Music Department. It seems to kind of slip under the radar today. I would just draw your attention to page 85 of the committee report and the change in efficiency section of the savings proposal. You'll see there's proposed cuts totalling £138,000 over the next 3 years. While I appreciate the cuts have been deferred for this coming financial year, we're still facing 138,000 of cuts over the next 3 years. As all of you will be aware, East Wren Schools Music Department is one of the jewels in the East Wren crown. It's the goose which keeps laying golden eggs year after year. We just draw your attention to a few achievements at the moment of the East Wren Music Department. In the National Youth Orchestra of Scotland, we've got 9 players in the Junior Orchestra, 6 players in the Senior Orchestra, 6 players in the Symphony Orchestra. In the West of Scotland Schools Orchestra, we've got 12. The West of Scotland Schools Orchestra, we have 12 pupils totalling 19% of the total. In the West of Scotland Schools Concert Band, we've got 16 pupils totalling 25%. In the National Youth Orchestra of Great Britain, which is obviously UK-wide, we have 3 people currently in this. This is the ultimate achievement that school pupil can make. Our East Wren state school pupils are punching way above their weight when it comes to music. They're competing against pupils from all over the UK. Currently, the parents of all East Wren pupils learning musical instruments, no matter their financial circumstances, are having to pay out annual tuition fees of £300. On top of that, parents have to find hundreds or even thousands of pounds to buy their children their musical instruments. It's quite easy to see how it's more likely to be children from the more fortunate families who can afford to take up music rather than children from less fortunate families and backgrounds. To put this into perspective, East Wren's annual tuition fee of £300 is the 5th highest of all 32 local authorities. 2 of our neighbouring local authorities, Glasgow City and Renfrewshire Council, don't charge any annual tuition fees whatsoever. Okay. Sorry, again, the point I'm making is this isn't a great way to treat one of the jewels in the East Wren crown. The point I'm coming to is that I would ask the Council to reconsider making these proposed cuts of £138,000 over the next 3 years. I think that the East Wren Schools Music Department is seen as being a soft target when they're actually, like I say, one of our greatest assets, and I would ask the Council to reconsider making these cuts of £138,000 over the next 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Aiken. Do you have a seconder for that amendment?
I don't know.
Seconder on it, so I'm not sure I can actually undertake a debate on it. But okay, I really need a seconder for that amendment before we can debate it. Okay, I'll be very liberal and allow a question unless I'm told I can't.
Yeah, I'd just like to ask the Councillor how he intends to pay for that to offset the cut that has to be made. Thank you.
Well, I think we're probably straying into a debate on it, to be honest, Councillor Wallace. And okay, would you care to respond to that then, Councillor Aiken, in the interest of democracy?
The cut isn't for this year, it's for the financial year after this year. So I don't feel that I have to answer that question for this year. Like I say, it's for year 2 and year 3 of the financial cycle. So I will leave it at that.
There's no amendment unless there's a seconder. Yeah. So seconder, okay. So can we move then to a debate? We've heard the motion from the Council Leader, Councillor Buchanan, seconded by Councillor O'Kane. an amendment from Councillor Miller, seconded by Councillor Swift. So I then throw it out to debate. Councillor Grant.
Thank you, Provost. If I could refer colleagues to page 77 of your papers. Under item 18, it's got floors arrangement. We are losing just over £1 million again from our grant because of the floors arrangement. So I'd like to ask the leader what representations he has made with COSLA about looking at this whole arrangement. It was meant to be a temporary arrangement. Now, that was 20 years ago, so it seems to me something is out of sync here, because we are an expanding area. We have a lot more elderly people to think about. We have a lot more young people to think about. This is a very important issue, and I really feel it's high time that we bang the table on this one, because we should be keeping that money. We've got a hell of a lot of stuff to pay for.
Councillor Grant, I mean, I won't ask the leader to respond to every point. He will respond at the end, and if he wishes to comment on the floors, he can do. Any other contributions? Councillor Lafferty.
I'm a wee bit curious how the amendment proposes to increase revenue from advertising and commercialisation. Is it proposed that we have sort of branding on our buildings, corporate sponsorship? Is it in roads? I know in the past Charlie Armstrong, that was referred to by the leader of the opposition, was adamant we should not be putting advertising on, say, our roundabouts or at junctions. It's a hazard. It's a distraction for the public. I'm sorry to hear a proposal to reduce school meals. It's a very important way of ensuring nutrition for our young people, particularly those who are not so well off. Yeah, it says where's the money, where's the 180, the 90 coming from? Put the prices up. Thank you for that, Leader. Reduce the PR function monitoring of social media. I think that would be a very retrograde step. We've cut back a lot of our publicity, and over this last spell of weather, I think the social media provided by the Council has been essential in advising the public that schools are open or closed or what facilities are available. And I think it's sometimes important to ensure we get that there can be mistaken views put in the internet, and it's useful to have the ability to. Okay, Betty. The reduction to trade unions, is this facility time? You know, we've been talking earlier on in the meeting of the importance of our workforce as an important asset to the Council, who go above and beyond their duty in delivering vital services for the public. We have good relationships with our workforce, I hope. Certainly I've appreciated the value of our joint consultative committee with elected members of the trade unions, and I think it would be a very retrograde step to in any way inhibit the trade unions from representing their members in this Council. Some of the other things I think are kind of aspirational, better absence rates. Yeah, we all want to reduce that, but we've heard in the past how we would the opposition would propose that we increase the recovery rate of council tax. These are just hopes. No, I'm still talking. You can hit at me later. Increase savings from head teachers. DMS, is that not one of the key things in public consultation that the public said they did not wish to see? And the reduction to the health and social care partnership. In addition to the importance of our schools, we hear constantly the growing population of elderly, increasingly elderly people who will need support and services. We've seen what's happened with the facility up in Newton Mearns over the last few days, where the Health and Social Care Partnership are stepping in to ensure the well-being and safety of the residents there, because they've been let down by the private sector. Surely any sort of reduction would be something we would wish to avoid at all costs. That concludes my comments, Provost. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lafferty, for your input. Any other Councillor Ireland?
Yeah, thank you very much. Got quite a few here to comment on. I'm still recovering though from them using austerity in the context that you did, considering where so much of the terrible austerity has actually came from down in Westminster. Absolutely, absolutely shocking. Councillor Miller, the things on railings. I've made many calls about this, and I cannot have more of them all over the place. When I'm phoning, well, you want to commercialise them? No. Oh, absolutely banned, but I wouldn't want them there. Yes.
Councillor Miller, can I ask you not to just shout across the chamber?
But the increased savings in the head teacher, absolutely agree, Councillor Lafferty. We've just announced that the savings are not going through for this, and it's absolutely amazing. And yet there's £1 million here from head teachers. The participatory budgeting digital option, I have no idea what that is. Maybe I can ask the question, because the whole point is bringing people together. Struggling with that one. But the one that really is the saving on the citizens' advice and rights, because we've got universal credit coming in, and I have to be honest, to touch that just now, when we've got so many people that are going to need so much help, I'm sorry, but I cannot agree with that one. Thank you.
For Ireland, any other contributions that councillors want to make? Councillor Bamforth.
I'm intrigued and actually, frankly, astounded at the increased savings from the IGB. As has already been mentioned, we've got a huge influx in this area of young people and very elderly people, as well as our current residents. To think of even cutting from our most vulnerable people, I think it just beggars belief. We have a relatively low percentage spend in East Renfrewshire Council on IGB in comparison with other councils, which is out of sync with the number of vulnerable people we have in our authority. In fact, if you watch the BBC, you will see that the IGB funding and integrated health and social care in Scotland has been the main factor that was attributed to the reduction or the lesser issues we have in A&E, which we have are substantially better in Scotland than in England NHS. So our health and social care partnership spend a lot of time trying to keep people at home for longer. So I would be intrigued as to how you could possibly cut that, bearing in mind we're already cutting over £7 million from the IGB budget. That I don't think we can cut that anymore because we've cut it to the bone. As far as the roads are concerned, I agree our roads are not the best, but I think we should point out that as far as trunk roads, we are number 2 out of 32. We are 16 out of 32 for our other roads, which again is not an ideal position, but we are not a third world country as far as roads are concerned. No. Thank you.
Here. We're crumbling.
Thank you, Councillor Bamforth. Any other contributions to the debate? No. Before I invite Councillor Merrick.
A few things. I think the budget reflects how closely we have been listening to the residents, how seriously we've taken the consultation, and how we've tried to act in the best interest in what are challenging times. Let's just call them austerity for short. Now, the Fabulous Music Service is but one example where we have listened, and it's heartening and it's good to hear that that won't happen immediately, that the class sizes won't get slightly bigger immediately. But also that our children, as well as receiving the high quality music provision, and those that can't afford that won't have to pay for that, by the way, but they'll still retain the opportunities to take part in all the orchestras and that kind of team music, which is good for well-being and enlightenment and so on. I also have a question about participatory budgeting, brackets digital option, 134,000. I don't know where you're getting that from, if you could maybe enlighten me on that one. That's it for now. We can come back later.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Merrick. Any councillor haven't spoken wants to contribute to the debate? Could I invite then Councillor Buchanan to sum up?
As a councillor. The difficulty with that, of course, and I do raise the issues regularly with ministers in the Scottish Government about our funding. Occasionally they do listen, and we have managed to get additional money this year, but the floors mechanism itself is part and parcel of discussions that go on through COSLA. And as Councillor Grant and others who have attended COSLA, it has been a regular discussion point on numerous occasions. However, at the moment no one has come up with an alternative which actually manages it. But it does get raised, and I dare say it will continue to be raised, and the overall funding that we get as a local authority, I've no doubt, will continue to be raised through numerous discussions. Going on to the amendments that have been proposed by the Conservative group, can I just touch on a few of them? I think that there isn't an awful lot of clarity around some of them, but if I touch on the bulk of them that immediately spring out to me are increases in school meals, the reduction in facility time, penalising staff in terms of sick absence, looking at the issues in IGB, where again it would penalise our most vulnerable, taking the money out of the Bring Your Own Device project, which again helps the most vulnerable in our society, and indeed job losses, because backroom savings, I assume, from community and support would mean further job cuts. It looks as though all of this is looked at reducing services and impacting significantly on our most vulnerable and significantly on staff. And clearly I would reject any of those amendments, because I don't think that they deliver the services that first of all our residents look for, and they certainly don't do anything to protect the staff that deliver those services. And as we touched on earlier today, and commending the staff that have went way above and beyond the call of duty over the last few days, and we now receive an amendment which looks at impacting significantly on them and indeed punishing them in many respects. I don't think that that is acceptable. And therefore, colleagues, having moved the administration's budget earlier, I would encourage members to vote for our budget for the next 3 years, and in particular obviously the next year, where we are delivering for residents and staff. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Buchanan, for responding to that. We now go to the vote. So I think probably the easiest way is just to simply ask for a show of hands. Those in favour of the motion proposed by Councillor Buchanan and seconded by Councillor O'Kane, please raise their hands.
Sorry, Councillor Cunningham is not in our place. I just wonder if we could wait a moment until the council officer perhaps sees if she's available.
Can
we pair? Thank you, Provost.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Kane. I hope you're okay. Councillor Cunningham will be as quick as possible. We're just out voting for the amendment, so it's those in favour of Councillor Buchanan's motion as seconded by Councillor O'Kane, if they could raise their hands. Okay. And those in favour of Councillor Miller's amendment as seconded by Councillor Swift, if you could raise your hands. Okay, the result is 10 for the motion and 6 for the amendment. So the motion is carried. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Can we move then to item number 11, which is the capital investment strategy. The report is seeking approval of the updated capital investment strategy for the council, and it's here in front of you for any questions or comments that you may have. There's a general fund capital plan for 2018-19 and to 2025-26, the indicative one. The report with Council's proposed capital programme for the next 8 years. We are, of course, only asking for actual approval for the next financial year for 2018-19. So could I maybe invite Councillor Buchanan to comment on this report and to move it?
Yeah, thanks, Provost. As has already been highlighted and referenced earlier on the agenda, we are experiencing a significant period of financial constraint. Despite this, however, the report sets out our plans to continue to deliver very significant levels of capital investment across our area. The capital plan sets out a wide range of our priority projects, which will make a major contribution to the Council's strategic objectives. Over 183 million, as I mentioned earlier, will be invested in the Council's capital projects over the next 8 years, bringing a major boost for the local economy in difficult times. Plans will require a significant increase in borrowing and the utilisation of a large element of our capital reserves. However, this is regarded as both affordable and sustainable. The report highlights 2 areas where the plan will require review in the course of the year as updated information becomes available. They are in relation to our early learning and childcare funding and in view of the consultation in terms of responses on the Eastwood Leisure Centre. I would therefore ask the Council to approve the report and authorise officers to progress the projects contained in the 2018-19 programme and agree to revise the plan during the year in light of the updated information relating to the leisure facility and the early learning and childcare developments as and when we get that information. Thank you, colleagues.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Buchanan. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor O'Kane, do you want to speak or reserve your right to speak?
Happy to formally second and reserve my right.
I believe there is an amendment, the paper that was circulated to us all earlier. The back page is the Conservative Capital Plan Amendment. So can I invite, is it Councillor Miller moving that?
Thank you. Once again, I'll try and be as brief as possible, simply because time's going on. I would make the amendment that the 30 million, I think it's 30 million, is down for to go into the new leisure trust or leisure facilities in Eastwood, be put forward as rather the upgrade of what we have at present down in Eastwood, simply because all the infrastructure there is going to cost an awful lot less, and we should go forward with that, and then that leaves 15 million of borrowing that's been left that could then go to other projects such as roads. Thank you.
Councillor Miller, do you have a seconder for that amendment? Councillor Swift?
Unfortunately, we don't have the revenue budget to support our original capital plan amendment, so I think that was good thinking on Councillor Miller's, from Councillor Miller to suggest that. I mean, our roads are terrible, and nobody here is going to deny it. But a shiny bauble, taking away the facility that we have and putting it somewhere where, I mean, the people, we've got 3 really high quality leisure centres, all of them in the private sector, and so people who want baubles with their leisure centres and who can pay for it already go there. They go to Parklands, they go to Greens, they go to David Lloyd. These are the places they already go to. So, you know, we're left with the people who want to then just go for no frills leisure, and they go to gyms where Do you know what? They pay an awful lot less than they pay at council facilities for membership of a gym. And that's the problem we've got, is that the leisure centre that's £26 million is predicated on a business plan that hasn't a prayer, because it doesn't speak to any individual market segment properly. So we cannot fund it, it will not be funded, it will not make money, it will continue to lose money. And if you look at the Leisure Trust just now, the budget for the Leisure Trust this year is up 13.5%. Whereas, the council's up 1.7%. It's not representative. The Leisure Trust isn't working. And it's not because the people there don't know what they're doing. They just don't have the resources to make it happen. But if you saddle them with a new leisure centre, if we saddle them with a new leisure centre, it won't work. So I think what Councillor Miller proposes is sensible because we've got a facility that's close to the people who are closest to the people who are least likely to be able to afford the other high-end facilities, frankly. And it will free up £15 million to deal with something that actually we have to deal with economically. Our roads are in terrible repair. They need to be better. And if we provide the resources to make that happen, I think that would be something that we could smile about with our children and our grandchildren in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Swift. Any other amendments? Councillor Aiken, do you have anything? No? Okay. Right, we have a motion amendment. I'll throw it open for any comment or debate. Councillor Bevan. Okay, Councillor Merrick.
The Culture and Leisure Trust are not competing with the private sector. That's one point. The next point is, as the leader said at the start, consultation is coming out soon. Let's see what the results are and let the people have a say.
Councillor Wallace.
Thank you, Provost. Members will recall many years ago the Conservatives suggested an investment in the existing facilities that are there just now, and had they done so at that time, we might have offset the need to spend £28 million on a new facility. I have to underline what's already been said by my Conservative colleagues, that, and I know certainly I've had this personally from a good number of people in Thornley Bank, who are absolutely frustrated at the thought that they would lose this facility to somewhere further south in this area. So I have to go along exactly with what my Conservative colleagues have said in the interest of my own particular ward. Yes, I may be being a bit selfish here, but certainly for the surrounds as well, that facility should remain where it is. We should not be spending £28 million in some fancy baubles, as it was quite nicely put earlier on. And whether or not the leisure facility or the Leisure and Culture Trust feel that they are not competing with other facilities, they are, whether they like it or not. Thank you.
Wallace. Councillor Ireland.
Hi. No frills. People are to get no frills. Some of these private gyms are out with anybody's, not a majority of people's reach, and I kind of happen to think that folk deserve baubles as you put them. I think they absolutely deserve them, and I think this is an absolutely fantastic thing, and I agree with Councillor Merrick that there is a consultation going out, and the people will speak on that one.
Thank you, Councillor Ireland. Councillor Lafferty?
Very briefly, I would hate to think that it's been proposed that we're pulling the plug on the public provision of community and leisure services in East Renfrewshire. I'm happy to wait and see the outcome of the board and whether what is the best way forward to maintain the facilities, where do we site it. I think that I look forward to that for interest. And just to add what Councillor Bamford ably said earlier on about the roads, our roads are not failing or deteriorating. They are improving with the investment this council made. There will be a further paper at the next cabinet meeting which will outline the capital spending and revenue spending for roads over the next year, which will continue to enhance our position amongst the Scottish Chiefs of Transport surveys. But we have to grasp, it will be 25 million to bring our roads up to date to clear the backlog. What we need is the intervention of central government
to put funds into local authorities, not only in Renfrewshire, but across the UK, to help and enhance this vital infrastructure.
Councillor Lafferty. Councillor O'Keefe.
I think we are slightly preempting the outcome of what will be a consultation on a food leisure centre. I do recall that previous council in the change the capital plan and criticised for not having a clear enough marker in as to what costs might be attached to this. So I think what we've tried to do is show what all the range of issues and all the range of options would be. I think also we were keen to see the results of the consultation because I think that the number of sports clubs, theatre groups, parents who want swimming lessons will respond about the desire to see, I think not a body, but rather a society that absolutely fits the purpose for the children and young people to engage in all of the things. But I do not want to stand to debate which I think we will have quite a crucial matter in the future.
Thank you, Councillor Conlon.
I just wanted to clarify one thing. Are you suggesting that the people that can't afford or don't use the private centres, that they're not entitled to it or they don't want the same level of things? Is that
That's not what I was saying. I think that if you look at the socio-economic demographics of that area, many of the least affluent live within reasonable distance of the Eastwood site. Now that has been talked about in lockdown. So the people who are least likely to have access to public transport, by the way, there is no bus to the Green Park from there, from the bank. There is no public transport links from there to that part of Newton Lines or the Hollywood Green Space. So frankly, what we're talking about is actually the people who are least likely to be able to access that facility with the least resources currently can access something that is close to. Actually, I'm advocating that we do so by people. And what I'm saying is there are different markets out there within the area. You've got the high-end stuff, and the high-end stuff is the stuff that people can afford. And they're already there. They're already there. They've bought this food. They've gone somewhere else. They have chosen to go somewhere else. Now, the low-end things that are really electrical, the things they go to is electrical intensive facilities, and there are plenty of them, and they're there. The problem we have is that the council legislature is asked of a taxpayer money to invest in a project that hasn't here admitted the revenue targets that are in the forecast in that paper last year. Okay.
Could I just clarify the question that you're asking? Are you asking, do these figures take into account the 3.9% increases? Yes, they do.